Willie D Live.
That's the one thing I don't like is when comics don't know their fucking comedy history. You ask them questions about comedy, and they don't know shit. They just know about talking about your mama and shit. Don't even know the history of talking about your mama.
Well, that's just like the rappers who don't know their history. They're not going to be around long.
No, they're done.
I've always noticed that the ones who know their history, the ones who respect the ones who came before them, they always seem to have longevity. I mean, they have good, long careers.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, they know. He knows. J. Cole.
Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. There's a difference. When you know, you cannot.
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne is fire. Yeah. And you can't move ahead without knowing. You just can't, it's in anything. Okay, when you walk into a doctor's office, what's the first thing they pull out? Your medical history. Imagine if doctors go, all right. Well, ready? What?
I thought you finished say that processing, that payment process.
Well, if you didn't pay, they go, you didn't pay. But they always look at your medical history first. They go, okay, and whenever you go to an office, they'll go, here, fill this out. They'll go, have you have a history of this? Do you smoke? This is all medical history. Mm-hmm. Everything is history. You watch a football game, they'll go, well, last week he was injured, and well, last year, they're always talking history, which leads up to what we're watching. It gives you more of a context to go, oh, God, this guy came from that team, traded. Anytime we talk about shit, they go, remember he was traded, and then, you have to have history.
Yeah.
So that's why when they tell black people to forget about the history, it's fucking dumb. You don't want us to move forward. So you want us to just let you keep doing what you do without knowing why the reason is. There's a reason why you keep touching my hair. Oh, back then you were being foolish. There's a reason why you keep calling me a nigga. Oh, because you were being foolish. There's a reason why you think everything belongs to you. Oh, because you was fucking stealing everything. That's it. You have to know history no matter what the fuck aspect it is. Comedy history, gotta know. Gotta know in the 1900s that black comedians couldn't talk to an audience solo. You couldn't do a solo monologue. It was illegal. In the early 1900s in New York and vaudeville, you couldn't talk to a white audience by yourself in a suit. You had to wear blackface. You had to cork yourself up and talk in a duo. You had to be like, well, Lord have mercy. Well, where are you going now? Well, shit, I'll say that. That's why they talk like that. Burt Williams was the first comedian to be filmed ever. He was a light-skinned Caribbean man who wore blackface. He wanted to be Charlie Chaplin, but he wasn't white. He was light-skinned. He even became a Mason in Scotland. They got the Scottish Rite Masons and they got the Prince Hall Masons. Prince Hall is the black Masons. So he had to do that. He had to leave to become a Mason. All kinds of shit. So he always wanted to be a star, but he was black. So he had to be in blackface, and he was an educated man. But he had to be in blackface and talk dumb like Stephen Fetchit, same way. Stephen Fetchit was not a dummy, but he had to make money. Willie Best did the same thing. Mantan Moreland did the same thing. You had Ethel Waters. You had Louise Beavers. All these people had to talk a certain way. They had to be maids, buck their eyes. Hattie McDaniel. You had to do that shit back then. You should know that fucking history so maybe you can improve. That's why when I see some, and this is what I observe. When I see, like, I had a whole thing about why do you guys are doing jokes in front of white folks and using nigga every fucking 5 minutes. Boy,
that irks the hell out of me.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
And I said, and these are some intelligent motherfuckers I know. There's some nerdy black comics that go nigga in front of white folks. I say, to me, you don't think you're smart enough. You're afraid to be smart in front of them. You're afraid. So you use nigga to kind of make them feel comfortable, them feel a little comfortable. I don't use that word unless I'm talking about the word which is apropos for what I want to say. I say, but you keep saying nigga because you're not Richard Pryor. Pryor was saying that coming from that shit. There was a difference. Even Pryor said, I need to stop saying nigga when I came from, remember Sunset Strip? He goes, I will never call another black man a nigga again. He had to go to Africa and realize it, but he came from that environment. You came from a privileged environment and you're saying nigga because you think that's black comedy. And you're saying it in front of a majority white crowd. I just asked them, I go, well, why do you do that?
Majority racist white crowd.
Yeah, and I say, and
that's the only ones who laugh at that shit.
Right, and I tell them, and I say, because let's be real. nigga is a funny word. It's hilarious. And phonetically, it's hilarious. Like when you say, man, here come this nappy head ass nigga. That shit's funny. Like, here come these niggas. That shit's funny. It's the funniest racial slur. Nigga is the funniest racial slur. You can say spick. That's not that funny. Chink, maybe. Goddamn chinks. These goddamn niggas. It's just, yo, this nigga here. It's hilarious. We made it even funnier.
See, I vehemently disagree with that.
And you should be able to.
I vehemently disagree with that. Like when I hear it, it irks the shit out of me. Like when I even because I have said it and I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah.
Now when I say it though, I'm using it in a disparaging manner. When you say here come that nigga, that's disgusting to me when I'm saying it like that. You know, I mean, like I'm saying it because this motherfucker disgusts me. You know what I'm saying? So if I use it, I'm using it.
But is it not funny to you?
It's nothing funny about it.
And that's good that you.
You know why it's nothing funny about it? Because I understand the historical context of the word.
I do
and
too.
I know how many people have been murdered, and I know how that word has been used to subjugate people, and I know how that word has been used to destroy people's self-esteem. You know, and you know, I know how it's been used throughout history.
No doubt.
So when I hear it, it immediately evokes trauma.
And
it evokes trauma
and I hope that
negativity.
And as a comedian, I see where the funny is, but I don't use it though. I don't use it because you've never heard me use it. I don't use it. Even if if I'm talking about black, I go motherfucker. I'll say, yeah, this motherfucker can be anybody. And I know people go, oh, that white nigga. I go, that doesn't work. That's a oxymoron. I go, why do you use it? Why are you using it? It seems like a crutch to me. I'm saying it seems, and in front of an all white crowd, it just seems weird. Because are they laughing because they're a little uncomfortable laughing? Are they laughing because the joke is really funny? Why do you say it? And they say, I'm not going to let somebody take away. This is what they say. I'm trying to own it. Yeah. Wait a minute. When they owned you, you know what I'm saying? They called you that. But when someone calls you a nigga, you get mad. When someone is saying it with vitriol, like you fucking nigger, now you're mad. But I thought you were owning it though. Right. Then you shouldn't react when that person really calls you a nigger then.
But if you
that's all I'm saying.
My thing is that if you're gonna take that word and try to make it a term of endearment, why not take the other words too? Like let a motherfucker call you a faggot, a bitch ass nigga, and you know, a hoe, and any other disparaging word. You know, like all of that should go. You know, like
all of it should go. Like
because actually, to me, none of those words. To me, hit harder than the N-word.
No, nothing hits harder than the N-word.
When I was locked up, I'm in the TV room, and there's a show on, and I made a comment. I said, I was like, look at this nigga. And white dude, Marcelli, he was sitting right next to me, and I noticed he was doing like this. He was looking at the TV like this. He said, he was staring up at the TV, and then he looked at me, and he stared back at the TV, and he said, I don't see any black people. And I say, that's because a nigger is not associated with a person. It's so associated with behavior.
No, he said, I don't see any black.
But in his mind,
niggas,
you know, in his mind,
when you say nigger, you think black.
When you say that, you only think,
because we were called. When you're called that, the word is associated. Then it's a visual association. You understand? Like if you say a government official. When you think of a government official, do you think of a black man or an old white man?
When I think of a
government officials say, I think of old white men when I think of, even though there are black people in government, there are Latino. When I think of a government official, I think of an old white man writing laws, making law. I think of old white men because they've been associated with power so much that the visual is, and when you think of welfare mother, you think of a black woman. You don't think of a white woman, even though white people are on welfare more than we are.
I actually don't.
I think when I used to think welfare mother, I used to be like,
I actually don't.
Because visually, I already know that statistically more whites are fucking on welfare. But what they would show on TV.
I know that's the image they want me to.
That's what I mean.
That's the image that they want me to have, but that's not the image that I have because I know better.
Right.
Same thing with government official. I just think
because you know better. Like when you think,
Yeah.
I think in my head visually, but I know that there's, you know what I'm saying? I know that because I've been educated on it. But it's like if I think of athlete, boy, he's a damn good athlete. I don't think of a white guy. I think of a black dude. Because we've dominated so hard. White athletes, they're white athletes, but do you even think about, it's almost like they're almost extinct. But there are plenty of white athletes. But when I think, yo, this dude is one of the best athletes around, I think of a black man. I don't think of a white guy.
But see, I just think athlete.
No, I think black guy. I think automatically black. Unless you're going like this. I was watching hockey, right? And man, I think white dude. Even though there are black hockey players, I think white dude. If I go with the tennis, did you
now,
watch?
When I think hockey, I think white.
You see what I'm saying? But
it ain't nothing but like three black guys.
There's more than that though.
What, 6?
There's about plus the puck. That's about.
It ain't that.
But there's a lot more than you think. And another thing too is, black people invented hockey in 1895. Black people invented hockey in 1895 in Nova Scotia, 22 years before the NHL. There's a book called Black Ice. You can see it. And when I was talking about the history of comedy, I always bring up this book called On the Real Side by Mel Watkins. It's called On the Real Side, Laughing, Lying, and Signifying, the history of African-American comedy from slavery to Richard Pryor. It's a book that every comedian, it was in the 90s, I read it in college. You should get that book to learn about who came before you. Because they used to, remember Barrel of Laughs? When they say it was a barrel of laughs. Mm-hmm. Well, they used to make black people laugh in barrels in certain towns because they were too loud. So they go, you got to laugh in the barrel. You black nigga, laugh in the barrel. So all of that.
Yeah, right. I remember. Wow,
yeah, a lot of that.
That was horrible, bro.
So that's why my comedy. I
subjected us to, man.
I try my the atrocities that African Americans have been through. I'm surprised we are this peaceful. Yeah. Surprised we are this peaceful to others. We're just as violent to each other. But the atrocities that have happened to African Americans, that's why I believe African Americans are the strongest motherfuckers on the planet. Because the shit that they've gone through and they're still around, educated, building universities, inventing damn near everything in America, it's unreal. When you, this motherfuckers can barely build an app, and motherfuckers invented what? GPS is a black woman. 3D imaging is a black woman. Laser eye surgery is a black woman. Escalators a black inventor. Elevators a black inventor. The roller coaster is Granville T. Woods. Roller coaster, everything.
Internet, the cell phone.
I was just watching the thing on the cell phone. Our video games is Jerry Lawson in Silicon Valley. They try not to mention him, but he's the reason why we have Xbox, Atari. He did the first, before Atari, the F1 series. Jerry Lawson, a black dude who invented home videos. Super Soaker, Lonnie Jackson. It just goes on. Sanitary napkins. It's a woman. Our ADT, our security system, is a black woman in Queens. Mary Van Brighton in 1966. She invented the home security. All of this shit we did to move the society ahead, and we still get shit on. African Americans still get shit on. I can say I'm African American because I was born in America, and I know what it's like to be called nigga and all this other shit. But African American history, the shit that you talking about open heart surgery, Daniel Hale, plasma, Charles Drew. We can keep going. Surgical equipment, black people inventing, just constantly inventing, and they took everything and lied. But now things are coming into the light with all these black inventors. And black people are still thriving. Black women have the highest degrees in America. Highest degrees in America. These are the same women that were operated on with no anesthesia on their vaginas by that Dr. Mims guy who they just took down his statue in New York. These are black slave girls raped, but they're number one in academics.